This is the second time I had to record this. Anyway, we'll try this again, I guess. I thought I'd do a quick review on some Benchmade knives. This is kind of going to be my take on Benchmade in general. Listen to a little smooth, well, it's not smooth, a little progressive jazz fusion, a little Return to Forever is the name of the band. Check them out if you can. Stanley Clarke, one of the greatest bass players to ever live. Chick Corea on the keyboards, amazing. But it's just kind of playing in the background. We're not gonna. It's not obviously my music. It is somebody else's, so I take no credit for the music involved in this. But let's talk about the knives. This is a Benchmade BoneCollector. It's a Michael Wydell. I don't know if he designed it, but he had some kind of input. Michael Wydell is a hunting and fishing show guy. Mostly hunting, I think. He does a lot of bow hunting and stuff, but he hunts deer, obviously. And this is a hunting-inspired pocket knife. Now, I would never use a folding knife for what this knife is designed to do. But this knife is obviously, the way it's made is to be a skinner. The sheep's foot design and the upsweep of the blade, I mean, this is made for skinning. And for fleshing out an animal or an animal hide or whatever. The reason I would never use a folder is because you don't want all that blood and gore and fat and junk get into the pivot. And this one, had it really been a truly inspired hunting design, as you can see, it is not 100% flow through. There's a little bit of flow through there, but they should have put this on pillars. A couple of pillars so that you could blow this out with like some compressed air or something like that, but instead they have this G10 back spacer. The handle scales are also G10. There's no jimping on the blade. There's jimping on the liner, on the liners right here, and then of course this gear pattern right here. Yeah, it's got good traction. It locks in. If you're doing cutting like this, then it's not bad. The jimping is not super aggressive. I wish it were a little sharper. That would be better. It has this Spyderco style deployment hole, but because it's got the wonderful Benchmade axis lock, you can really, and this one's nice and broken in, you can kind of just pull down the axis lock and flip it open like that, and then it pops open. You can also kind of flip it open, flip it closed, just with the axis lock, or you can obviously flick it with the Spyderco, or you can open it nice and slow, like you probably should. But yeah, it's let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. That's the BoneCollector logo. Cool looking logo. 100% made in the USA, as pretty much I think all of Benchmade's stuff is. This one is made of D2 steel, one of my personal favorite steels. But yeah, it's the smallest of the three that I have, the three Benchmades that I have. I put this little lanyard on it just to get it out of the pocket. This has the older Benchmade style. Some people call it the arrow clip. Some people call it the phallic clip. Some people call it the penis clip. But it's not a deep carry clip. I have mixed feelings on deep carry clips. This one I think doesn't need it because of the way it sits. There's enough of it sticking out to where you can pull this out of your pocket without a lanyard. So I don't know. It's okay. They've got at least as high as they possibly can on this one. The next one that I want to look at, this is the Benchmade Adamas or Adamas. I don't know how you pronounce that. This one's also in D2. It's obviously a much bigger knife. Complete flow through design on the scales, on both the liners and the actual scales. It's been skeletonized. This one also has a G10 back spacer and G10 scales. This one just has a little bit of milling for grip right there, but the jimping on this one is definitely superior to the other one. It is on the liners as well as on the scales, and then it continues up this thumb ramp on the blade, so it's got a good purchase right there. You can tell that's where your hand was meant to go. This knife is obviously designed to be kind of a fighting knife, which you know, is not really my thing, but sometimes a good fighting knife makes a good outdoors knife, which this is kind of one of the things I use this knife for. It's a good outdoors knife. It also has the awesome Benchmade axis lock. You can kind of flip it open, flip it closed. This one's not as broken in as the other one, but it's still, you can flip it open, flip it closed. Originally, this knife came totally murdered out, as the kids say. These weren't chrome, the clip was black, all of the hardware was black. What happened was, as you can see on this knife, as it rolls through there, the coating gets worn off the inside of the blade. So the whole knife was black except for the rounded part of the blade, the back of the blade in there. And it looked kind of silly. And then when the coating started to wear off the clip, I just took the whole thing apart and polished everything. I polished the thumb studs, I polished the liners. You can see some spots where I didn't do such a great job. You can see some of the black coating. You know, that the different parts where I didn't do a great job of polishing off all that DLC coating. But I left the blade blacked out and then polished the hardware, the liners, the clip, all that stuff. It's I think it looks cool. I think some of the parts where I didn't do such a great job, it just kind of makes it almost looks like it has a patina on it, which it doesn't. That's just leftover coating that I didn't polish 100% off. You can see I left the coating in the little channels and stuff right there. But yeah, this is the I think it looks good like this. I didn't do the insides of the liners. They still have their coating on them. Just the edges is all I did. This one's also in D2. Shane Siebert design. There's his logo right there. I don't know if Wydell designed this knife or if that's just who they kind of gave credit to. But Shane Siebert did design this knife. He's designed a lot of knives for Benchmade. But that's the Benchmade Adamas. I put this kind of cool lanyard on there that's got a zirconium bead made by Robert Carter. I made the lanyard. I kind of like this style nowadays more than I like this style. I don't know, I just think it looks, I don't know, I guess maybe more Japanese or something. I don't know, I think it just looks cooler. The last one, this is the Benchmade Contego. It is an Osborne design. Let's see if we can, there we go, an Osborne design. Also kind of very similar construction to the other one. It's got G10 scales on a liner knife. You can see that's one of the coolest blade shapes, that reverse tanto. That is rust. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, very similar design to the other one. The liner, I mean not the liner, the backspacer on this one is made of some kind of metal. I think it's steel. It's a mild steel or something like that. You can feel that it's cold to the touch. A magnet sticks to it, but that might be just sticking to the liners because obviously they're steel. But it has to be metal because embedded into it they have a carbide glass breaker in the back. So if you ever needed to bash glass, this would be a hell of a cop knife if I were a cop, but I am not. I just bought it because it looked cool. Now, would I have bought this if I had known this next fact? The steel on this one is CPM M4. I had never heard of M4 steel. I knew it was a super steel. It's a tool steel, very similar to A2 and D2. D2 is what both of these knives are in, and D2 is one of my favorite steels. I have a lot of bushcraft knives and stuff that we'll talk about in the future. And my favorite steel for those to be made in is D2. It's a super hard wearing steel. It just doesn't wear out easily. It stays sharp for a long time. And what I read was that M4 is very similar to D2, but can take a higher Rockwell. It can be hardened harder without being brittle. So it can actually, it's supposed to be even a more superior, is that proper grammar? It's supposed to be even superior to D2 in its edge holding. That is probably true. This knife sharpens razor sharp and it holds an edge forever. The problem is this steel is not corrosion resistant at all. And I live on the Texas Gulf Coast, right by the water. Not right by the water, probably, less than a mile from the water. The Gulf of Mexico being the water. So you can see where the Benchmade logo is. It develops from rust. That little shiny bit on there, that's some oil or some Vaseline or something I put on there to try to slow that down. I cleaned it off with steel wool a few times, but I don't want to get too much into it because the coating on here, it looks like a nice bead blast. That's not. There's actually a DLC coating on this blade because it's so rust prone. They put a coating on here. It's just a gray DLC. You can see the shiny spots right there where I tried to clean the rust off and it's kind of rubbed some of the DLC off. This is the side that gets rusty because of the clip orientation that I carry it in my right pocket. That's the part that sits up against my leg. This loops over the pocket, kind of. That's sitting up against over the pocket, and then this side is facing my leg. And it just kind of gets that way. This pocket clip shape to me is definitely superior to this one. But if you're going to do this deep carry style pocket clip, which I like, but if you're going to have that on a knife, you need to put a lanyard on it. It needs to be able to put a lanyard because this can sit so deep in the pocket, it's kind of a pain to get it out. You got to really dig, especially if you like to wear tight pants like I do, because I'm a cowboy. Having the lanyard on there helps you get it out of your pocket easier. This has no spot for a lanyard. Now maybe I could try to replace this scale or this backspacer, which I may do because I don't necessarily need the glass breaker, and this is being a metal backspacer, it adds a lot of weight. Maybe I could somehow put a new backspacer in through there and then drill through the liners and maybe put a lanyard in there somehow. The problem is even then there's not really a space for the lanyard just because of the design of the knife. It is a well-designed knife. Again, this one is obviously also designed for fighting with that long blade and just jimping crazy. There's the jimping everywhere on this knife, all over the liners, back here. Now there's none up here, but you'd think that there would need to be jimping up there, but if you hold the knife properly, where it's meant to be held, you don't need to stick your thumb way up there. You should stick your thumb right there. That's where it should be. That's why there's this ramp here with jimping. People complain about there's no jimping on the back of the blade. Well, then it's not meant to have your thumb there. Obviously, your thumb is meant to go right here, because if you hold this correctly, even if you hold it in a reverse grip, which I don't know why you would do that unless you're a knife fighter, which very few of us are, but if you hold this properly, everywhere where you're putting pressure, there's jimping. Here, 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 and here. The pad of your hand is right there. Your thumb is right here. Your index finger is right there. This finger is pushing right there, and then this finger is back here on the jimping. And it's locked in. It's not going anywhere. So why people bitch about there not being jimping on the back of the knife, I don't know. It's not meant to have it. So just deal with it, folks. Anyway, these are my 3 Benchmade knives. Let's talk about Benchmade as a company. I think they're great. They have some of the best innovative designs. They work with a lot of custom makers to bring out kind of the production version of a custom maker's knife. They're very good about that. They use incredibly good materials, and their quality is very, very good. Now, the price. Benchmade knives are expensive for production knives, and that's gonna go along with a made in USA knife. Every single one of these was over $200. Some of them knocking on the door of $300. I bought them over many, many years ago, and they are expensive knives, but the quality is is there. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is. I think anybody who owns a Benchmade is going to tell you, yeah, they're probably one of the best production knife companies. You know, the only way you can go up from here is to get, you know, a mid-tech or a full custom. So these are about as good as it gets. So yeah, Benchmade's great. I love Benchmade. These three are probably my three favorites. It's weird that I don't have a Griptilian, seeing as that's the cheap knife, but anyway, these were the three that kind of spoke to me, and I jumped out and grabbed them, and they're great. This is the BoneCollector, the Adamas, and the Contego. Fun name on that one. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.